So kindly share your thoughts or memories about His Grace Dr. Paulos Mar Gregorios.
Yeah, thank you, Father. In fact, when I came Delhi from Benares in 1996 for my MPhil studies and afterwards PhD also finished here at Delhi University, one of the professors who met me first on the university corner, he asked me, Father Devasia, do you know this bishop with the red hat? So I was surprised. Then I went to the library and got some works, and then I realized here was a priest of God, of course, Orthodox, bishop, well known, good at Western philosophy as well as Indian philosophy. And he was very popular in JNU, Jawaharlal University in New Delhi, and also Delhi University. He was a very popular speaker. Very popular speaker. So that in fact gave me a kind of impetus. Therefore, I call Bishop Paulos Mar Gregorios the Rishi of the West and the East. Rishi. Now, the word Rishi is a very important term in our Indian philosophical, spiritual, cultural tradition. Who is a Rishi? Rishi is a person, Drishyade, Darshana, one who has seen the intuited reality, one who knows what is reality, reality. Now, that's a metaphysical term, Father. In philosophy, we say that. Now, some are rishis of the West, some are rishis of the East. Now, here is a man a person of God, a man of God, who is trying to be a bridge builder between these two civilizations. So, I would call him a civilizational rishi of the East and the West, who is a gift of God. Not only the church, but the whole world. He belongs to the world. I mean, not only to Orthodox Church or Christian Church or Catholic Church. No, he belongs to the whole world. And here is that, the Rishi. Now, if you look at our Indian Vedic tradition, we have two words which would describe who a Rishi is. The first word they use is mantra drishta. Now, mantra is, that which comes to a person's philosophical, spiritual heritage by intuition, by manana, by reflection. Mantra mana, and manas, manana, okay? And drishta means one who has seen, intuited. It's not copying there, it comes to you, because the divinity, it reveals itself to him. So, therefore, I believe he was called by divinity to bridge the gap between the Eastern and the Western civilizational heritage of the world. He belongs to the cosmos. And those people belong to cosmos, not a particular society or a church. They belong to the whole. Therefore, he would make, friends in India as well as in the West. So I would call him Rishi. Rishi for what? One who makes the bridge between the Eastern and Western civilizational. In fact, that I read the book, Mar Gregorios, a reader by K.M. George. The last chapter is on, iconopia. Wonderful. Of course, that is the Eastern tradition about icons. I love that. Russian Orthodox Church also got this says. What is icon? Icon is images of reality for people to take. So this person is of that. So he is trying to make the chaos into a cosmos, icon of the world, to Yahweh, to God, the God of the Bible. And that God cannot be a Christian God or a Hindu God. The divinity has no name in a sense. All of us know when Moses asked Yahweh in the wilderness, tell me, what is your name? What does Yahweh say? I am who I am. I mean, that's what God for everybody. Not even for humans, for every creation. It is non-human. So that's one problem today. I mean, I'm going to into details. So my question is, here is a man who from nowhere he appears, like John the Baptist. Nowhere he appears and he makes friends. And one thing I loved of Bishop Gregorios is this. He bridges university and monastery. Very few do that. He brings into a unison a rainbow spirituality, a heritage where the university and the monastery, they come together. It's unique.
Ashram Academy.
Whatever you call it, because university is seen as more secular place and monastery is more sacred, Now he says the secular, they have to come together. Otherwise there is no fun. And in that sense, I believe what he said was also taught very popularly by my own teacher, Professor Raimundo Panicca. He used the word cosmotheantrism. Okay. There the cosmos, the anthropos, and the deity, the theos, they have to come together. So today the problem is we are bifurcating reality. Secular, sacred, man, woman, nature, culture. This is the problem. So I would say here is a bishop anointed by God to proclaim the gospel. The gospel of unity, not uniformity, of unity. I would call it rainbow unity, multicolors. So as I told you when I was walking to the college along with you, I saw that picture at IIC where he is embracing the Dalai Lama. He has a shot on him, and Dr. Kabila Vasian was nearby. What a wonderful, and Dalai Lama is smiling all through. So he's a mystic, an activist, a contemplative, an activist, a thinker, a reader. Of course, some of his writings have problems philosophically. But because I don't think he's a kind of, armchair academician. He is trying to make the ideas walk. So there, I don't expect him to be very precise. Now, I'm a student of philosophy, theology, Indian philosophical tradition, also Western thought. So I like to see precision. But he will let the ideas walk across. So that was his gift. So I'm happy you belong to that church, that tradition, where he was there in flesh and blood. And that's a challenge. I think that's a challenge, not only this, especially in North India, very rare, because, where they suspect different traditions, somehow. So here is a man who says, no, we can stay together in fellowship. So I call him again a rishi of the East and the West. And he retorts the poet who said, East is East, West is West, and the twain can never meet. He says, no, it does meet. So therefore, I really admire this guru or rishi, I would say, person, fantastic person. And thank God for that. That such a priest, bishop was born. He was educated abroad, came back to India and came to Delhi, and he studied, became friends, So that is the friendship, in God's Spirit. So in him, I think church has a future. In him. So of course, my colleagues and teachers, in Delhi, who taught me also, they say with red hat, they mean he has Marxist leanings. So normally, because you also have red bishops and cardinals there, but they meant he is Marxist oriented, and he says that. Then I am quoting from one of his writings. When billions of people are starving, hungry, what does your belief in God tell you? So, he was a Marxist without violence. That's what, almost Jesus, he was also radical. Marxist without the violence, without the gun. Marxist, communism, but then not anthropocentric. I will come to that but later on. So this is my first impression about him when I came in 1996 to University of Delhi. And that professor was Professor Deepa Nag. She passed away a couple of years ago because of cancer. She asked me, Devasia, don't you know this bishop? I said, ma'am, I've heard his name. I should go through. I'm just from Varanasi, came here. And that made me to go through his writings, He has published voluminous writer. And at one point he says, during my education, my teachers never taught me about Indian philosophers. Whether it be Dignaga, whether it be Nagarjuna or Dharmakirti. He says that. So that it takes some other discussion, that's what. So this conversation is my dakshina to you. I mean, I am not seen him in person, but I think the guruhood is spiritual concept. So this is, I have this kind of what they call conversation with you, samvad we call it. It is my dakshina to him. Dakshina to him. I thank God to
Gregorios, he says, especially he more focuses when he says that by putting human being into dialogue with each other, can be a religion or an ideology, it would be contributing towards a rich and diverse creative unity of mankind. How relevant is dialogue, especially among religions?
That's a very complex question, very difficult question. Now, the way I see ideology kills, spirituality liberates. Ideology cannot stand dissent. I come basically from Kerala. I know my Marxist friends, So, and even in Hegel, the young Marxist Hegel, violence is part of consciousness. The self and the other, the master-slave morality. So, this is part of the system. But the Christian gospel and the Indic version is different. You also can live together. So, therefore, let me look at from the Indian lens, Indic lens of philosophical understanding. We have two different categories of thought. One is Bheda, other one is Abheda. Now, Bheda is difference. Other one is Abheda, identity or non-difference. Now, Acharyas, be Shankaracharya, Ramanuja, even Nagarjuna in a sense, they will all say that when we perceive, perception, we can see. Now, myself and you, Father, so we are priests, but we are different. Okay. Now, so they speak of what you call Bheda in three ways. This comes from Adi Shankaracharya. One is the difference within oneself. Like, I'm not my hand, I'm not my head, I'm not my feet, okay? Still, I can say it's my feet, my head, etc. Fine. It's called Swataha Bheda. Swataha, within oneself. Other one is same species. Now, both of us are human persons. We are priests, we are etc. Fine, okay? But then, in a sense, you belong to Orthodox tradition, I belong to Catholic tradition. So that is called Sajatiya. The same species, but we are different. We are also priests. Okay, fine. Okay. Other one is Vijadiya, heterogeneous difference. I am not the tree, the bird, etc. Fine. The Indian rishis say that this Bheda is only perceptual. And perception, pratyaksha, is possible because of this difference. A beautiful insight. So, pratyaksha, perceptual notion, is possible because of this difference in perception. Otherwise, I would say, no, I am the tree, I am you, I am the chair. We don't say that. I see chair, I see a tree, I see a bird. So, this is the difference. So, therefore, you can, this is a, Father, it can only come from rishis who are thought through. They accept difference. But they say, look at your consciousness. This I take from Mandukya Upanishad. Beautiful, 13 verses, beautiful Upanishad, It has a particular verse there, which I believe the integral iconopia, or I call it ecosophy of Mar Gregorios. Yeah. There it says, I am Atma Chadushpada. The self is four-footed. It has 4 feet. The first is called the waking mode. Like you and I'm there, there's a photographer here, sports ground of Hindu college, people are playing, now you're talking to me. I'm trying to remember and thank God for the gift of this very great Acharya. Mar Gregorios, trying to understand his thought system, etc. Fine, so, right? So that's perception. All right, and there's difference. Okay, and that is so. I call it subject object predicatability. I know it's the object of my thinking, then I predicate. Here is Bishop Gregorios, and he's wonderful. He was Acharya, Rishi of the Christian tradition. He was very popular in JNU and DU among the professors here. He also went to Shimla IIAS, had a fellowship there. Where is go? But I'm telling, of course, WC, World Council of Churches, he was there many times. So I know all this stuff. So this is called Jagrita, the part of consciousness. Then the Upanishad says, is that all your life? No. When I go to sleep, I dream. Swapna. Unfortunately, because of our intellectual laziness, we say dreams are not real. But the Upanishads say dreams are real as long as you dream. Let me come to Bible, Father. Whenever Joseph was in difficulty, how did God solve his problem? In dream. Joseph is difficulty. Herod is going to kill, child. Where do I go? In dream, the angels speak. Okay. Daniel, look at, he could interpret dreams. So, Upanishads say, dreams are also mode of your consciousness. And dreams are real as long as you dream. If any doubt, ask in the dream. So, therefore, we also in English, when you say, let your dreams come true, what you are saying is this, what you saw in your dream, they also come to be the real thing in your waking mode of consciousness. But dreams are real. Also nightmares, therefore, because if it's not real, why should I get afraid of what you call my nightmares? It shows the other way around. It's a counter-factual example. You're afraid of nightmares because we really think it's real, isn't it? No. Therefore, so dreams are real. So that is also real. So that's called Swapna Avastha. Okay. The third is deep sleep. Deep sleep is the mode of reality which comes after the dream. Swapnandam Sushupti, they say that. Sushupti. Swapnandam Sushupti. And Sushupti, Father, the Indian philosophical tradition says is always joyful. You can never, even the dog comes to the classroom, my pet dog comes to the classroom, it is when he sleeps, Deep sleep is the only mode where we experience deep joy, ananda, without being subject to any objects. Therefore, all of us look for ananda. In waking mode, I love ice cream because it gives me pleasure. I love to have, good food, or I like to read good books. I like to listen to good lectures. I like to meet good people. Why? Because it gives me joy. I like to avoid what gives me pain, dukkha. So deep sleep is that mode of consciousness, Sushupti, in Mandukya Upanishad, which gives you deep sense of joy. Therefore, in the Muruppath they say, Amridasya Putraha. All of us are children of this nectar. But unfortunately, or fortunately, in sleeping mode and dream mode, when the body is linked to this consciousness, whatever affects the body affects also the Chaitanya. This is the truth of the Upanishad. Then the fourth they say, Turiya. That is the state of liberation. They never come back. That's it. So my question is this. I don't think Bishop Gregorios wrote about this, but when I see his last chapter, I cannot be all this stuff, and he also critiques modern civilization. I get a feeling that he had this dream. So you cannot speak of unity among religions, among human beings, among ideologies, among civilizations, unless you tell them this is the fundamental nature of reality. Suppose you call me for dialogue. For what? So, dialogue is possible because you are able to show me there's a possibility of living together despite differences. dialogue does not mean having no difference. That will be hypocritical. I'm sorry. So it is what is Swagata Bheda and Vijadiya Bheda and Sajadiya Bheda. Therefore, Shankara says reality, Brahman has no difference at all. Neither Sajadiya, nor Swagata, nor Vijadiya. But Ramanuja says no. The Brahman has Swagata Bheda. The Brahman also means matter. In fact, Aurobindo goes one step further. Sri Aurobindo, he studies in England. You know, Baroda taught in Sanskrit everything in the college there. He knew 5 languages. Sanskrit he taught by himself. All right. When to Calcutta, he was caught held by British for sedition. Came out as a yogin. Went to Pondicherry, Aurobindo. He says even the matter is consciousness. I think that is the best expression of Indian spirituality, Indian philosophy. Stone, even that is deeply conscious, but that is called, he will call it the primal or rudimentary consciousness. You and I are evolved consciousness. Therefore, tell me, in the class, when you come from metro to university, in the college, when you walk on the Chhatra mark, you just don't kick it, because in deep sleep you are like that. In deep Sushupti mode, you are like that. So this is, now, does this mean monism? No, that's the English word is hopeless. It is Advaita. Advaita means non-dualism. Look at how Rishis are, because our waking world is premised on dualism. Waking world is premised on dualism. Okay, therefore they begin, experience is possible because of dualism, isn't it? Subject and object. So I believe, this I call it, iconography of Mar Gregorios, I call it Advaita Advaya ecosophy. And this is what he means, I believe, when he criticizes the Western modernity of civilization, education, civilization. Why? Western civilization, not everybody, there are people like, Martin Buber, Thomas Merton, to some extent also Aquinas, when Kant, according to Kant, what is enlightenment? Sapere aude, to think for yourself. And the reason is given the highest standard. Now, that will only end up in dualism. And unfortunately, that is, in fact, I think Foucault wrote a counter question, they gave a counter question to Kant. What is enlightenment? Which was written by Kant. Kant says, think for yourself. So, I think I get a feeling, because of his education abroad and also in India, as I told you, he was both in monastery and in the university. Okay. And he had sensed this. He is not completely negating Western civilization. No, modernity has its own importance. But he says that doesn't take you too far. There he brings in the Indian tradition. So that is, I think, the biggest contribution of Mar Gregorios. Ideology, to my mind, is a cluster of ideas, and they do not accept dissent. They'll kill you. Philosophy doesn't. Religion also can become ideology. Traditional Christianity, now what happens the world over, that, Yeah. So spirituality is different. The person like Mar Gregorios, his home is spirituality, not religion. He was orthodox in the true sense of the word. He was truly, because what is orthodox? Going the root of things, you sustain that. But he's able to fly too. So his feet were firmly founded in the Christian biblical tradition, given to us by St. Thomas. But he had wings to fly. And that is what we today. So I would say, if somebody were to ask me, can you tell me a person's name who tried to take tradition and modernity together? Here is one person. The same thing also was with Mahatma Gandhi, I would say that, Look at that. So this is the problem. So I would say that dialogue is possible only when you can think metaphysically, and that is dangerous and courageous. Nobody likes we all like what's the university? No. Metaphysics is you're asking tough questions. Tough questions. So the Rishi Parambara of our tradition, to which I want to believe, I am a student of philosophy and religion and spirituality, and I want to believe that Mar Gregorios was a student of this Rishi Parampara tradition. Okay. And if St. Thomas could find his home in Kerala, Gregorius want to expand that further. And that, I think, belongs to our Upanishadic tradition. Yeah. So we should be afraid, we should be very, very skeptical about any attempt to convert philosophy and religion into ideology. Why? It doesn't give you any freedom of thinking, no. Freedom of thinking. Rishis, therefore I told you they are Apavurishaya. Rishi has no name, or in the Vedic scripture they don't give their name. You can say Bharadwaj, all these, and they give his name. Why? It's interesting. Apavurishaya means what? In the Vedic tradition, Purusha is human person, not a male person. The human person. Human person by nature and birth is imperfect. So if you are saying it is my creation, the Vedic philosophy claims it will have some imperfection. If so, how can that be the Veda? So Veda has to be the spirit of inerrancy, infallibility. Should be knowledge about your liberation, not any knowledge. With, to know, Veda, esoteric knowledge. So Mar Gregorios was, in a sense, Apavurishaya. He was Orthodox tradition of Christianity in Kerala, started by St. Thomas, coming from that, in a sense. And of course, in one of the chapters he says that Eastern tradition is much more, there I would, if I say Francis of Assisi, I mean, I believe that he is also an Orthodox. Look at it, he was the first person to say, brother sun, sister moon, my God, look at this. That shows that the spirituality is universe. It's no man's land. Nobody has say it's my private property. No. For a spiritual person, you belong to the whole world. Cosmos becomes a temple. Raymond of Panicus says that. The monk and the monastery becomes the cosmos. I mean, nature is, it gives you that. So I would say that he was Apavurishaya and he brings it. So come to the main point. Dialogue is possible. I mean, what you call the fruitful dialogue. Only if you can have a daringly, courageously, with humility, a vision of reality. Whether you don't bifurcate the human from the non-human, from nature from the culture, from man from the woman, from sentient from the non-sentient. Therefore, humanism, I agree, it also is a problem to me. Now, we had a COVID pandemic, we all realize we have destroyed the nature, become very violent. Today, we are thinking about it non-anthropocentric. And sometimes some of the researchers, professors, they give this whole idea to the Western civilization and also becomes the Bible. But the same Bible also says human person is a steward of creation. He is master of creation. Of course, in Genesis there is a saying that he is a master of creation. But to my mind, the periphery text says in Genesis, he is also a steward of creation, custodian. And this comes from the Upanishad. Isha Vasyamidam Sarvam. Beautiful. Isha Vasyamidam Sarvam Yad King Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tektena Bhunjida Ma Graha Kasya Dhanam. And Gandhiji said, if the world loses all scriptures, it's enough for our salvation. Isha Vasyamidam Sarvam. God is indwelling everywhere, including a stone, including, everything. God is there. Isha Vasyamidam Sarvam. Yatkin Jagatyam Jagat. Therefore, I should enjoy with renunciation. I mean, God gives me enough to see to my needs of my life, but I should not possess it selfishly, because it's not yours, it is God's. And Gandhi took this and he developed the idea of trusteeship. He says that the world has enough for everybody's need, not for greed. So Gandhi developed this and he said, what we need is distribution of wealth, not communism, Swaraj. So that, I mean, I really, and Gandhi read the Bible, the Quran, he was ambassador for religions, you know. So he said the idea to communism, I would call it Rigvedic communism, not Frederick Engels and Karl Marx communism. I mean, I understand that, you know, but that is only one mode of consciousness, okay. And what is the proof for that? Death. I used to imagine sometimes in a philosophical thinking, no? Imagine, Father, after death, we all carry our property to heaven. What will the world be? Tell me. It is already bad. Death we go. You know, beautiful in the Gita. And Jesus says, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses the soul? So, Mar Gregorios is one who continues this tradition. So, he is orthodox, but he is also unorthodox. He brings in this. I mean, for an audience which is very, very universal. He is not a university professor, I agree. I have some problem with his writing, but I realized, no, his church was the whole world.
Mar Gregorios, in his book A Light Too Bright, he says, it is too bright a light, this European Enlightenment, and its critical rationality. European Enlightenment blinds us now to other dimensions of reality which was not so strong for them. According to you, even though there are many good facets of European Enlightenment, but according to you, what are the failures, or where have the European Enlightenment, according to you, might have gone wrong?
Well, it's a very, very complex question and difficult question, you know. I think I see that as a phase of the journey of the human mind, collectively. Now, if you look at the background which gave rise to the European Enlightenment, you should know that the earlier time it was controlled by the church. So you cannot say anything freely, you have to go to imprimatur, publish something, etc. Fine. So the church and that is because the temporal and the spiritual, they came together, and therefore it was in control of everything. So Kant, I told you earlier, Kant says, what is enlightenment? In German, sapere aude. Think for yourself. Think for yourself. Heidegger, when he began his philosophical journey, he renounced his Catholic membership of the church. But his best friend was the priest of his parish. Later on in the same, Heidegger says, only God can save. So my question is this, I would look at sympathetically. Why it is so? That is the journey of the human mind. And because of certain historical, cultural factors, you will overemphasize something at a particular moment of your thinking. That's bound to happen. That is what you call bound to happen. Okay. I give, for example, if you look at Kant as the first person who wrote about what is enlightenment, then we are also postmodernism, okay? And the idea is that in postmodernism, they have doubts about all types of meta-narratives. You know, it is defined as the incredulity of medical meta-narratives, including Marxism and Christianity. All these major philosophies they will question. Okay, that's it. Now Kant himself gives the answer. Post-Kant, you have the movement called Romanticism. It takes into account emotions, feelings. Okay. After Kant, you also have the school called phenomenology. Now Kant said, I can know only a thing as it appears to my mind. Perfect. But I cannot know the thing in itself. The nomina I cannot know. Phenomena I can know. Then somebody asks Kant, in that sense, how do you make sense of the nomina? Kant says, phenomena is sensible because of nomina. Phenomenology comes in and says, the sky is blue, the sky is blue. So, phenomenology, the movement in philosophical tradition, in fact, it came with Husserl, then his disciple Heidegger, then we have Sartre, then we have Merleau-Ponty, then we have people, I see that. They say that in perception, you can perceive the thing as it is. The same thing was said in Dharmakirti years ago. Vignaga Dharmakirti. It is called pre-reflective consciousness perception. When you perceive something, the thing in itself is given to you. It becomes adulterated when you attribute categories to that, to language, to concepts, etc. You time, temporality, historicity, you attribute attributes to that particular thing. It becomes, according to Vignaga Dharmakirti, Samanya Lakshana. What you perceive is called Swalakshana, thing in itself. Please. Thing in itself. So this is the problematic. Okay. So, this is the idea. This is the idea behind it. I think, can I just go and tell you about your student to receive on? So, what I was saying was this, So, my question would be, modernity brought to the intellectual consciousness the primacy of rationality. But the Indian rishis or philosophers, acharyas, saw it earlier itself. Now, if you look at Adi Shankaracharya in his Adhyasa Bhashya, he is the same question. He says, reason by itself cannot give me the reality. It's a tool. And when I use reason, I should use that reason which is amenable to my knowledge of reality. We call it Shushka Tarka, empty logic. Empty logic is the which leads to nihilism. Nietzsche says that. Nietzsche does that. In fact, Heidegger says that. Heidegger says Nietzsche has not asked the radical question. So Heidegger says philosophy is an inquiry into nothingness. Nothingness. Okay. But is famous the Freiburg lecture. Was ist Metaphysik, which was his famous lecture, where he discusses this. Now, it's interesting. I'm trying to link up, because philosophy, you cannot take one point. It's all interconnected. The same question was asked by 2nd century, the Buddhist thinker, Madhyamika, the school, Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna says, reality in itself is nisvabhava, empty. I'm not saying he's saying same thing as what is said by Nietzsche or Heidegger. No. Heidegger is different. Then look at these rishis. How do you connect, Father? Somebody in Andhra Pradesh, Nagarjuna Konda says something in 1st century, 2nd century AD. Somebody says in the Europe, 20th century. How do you connect? Philosophy belongs to the whole world. Nobody has copyright on that. So, so what I want to say is that, so Nagarjuna's idea is more profound. He says, reality in itself is nisvabhava. Why? Concepts by their nature are relational. If I say this is a white piece of paper, I can make sense of this only if there is a non-white piece of paper. That means this white piece of paper is relational to which is not this. Not this. That means these concepts are not autonomous, not swataha. If concepts are not autonomous, they are dependent. That means they don't have autonomous nature. Then how can that be reality? Therefore, you call shunya. Not emptiness. That is a wrong, translation by Shadabaski and other people. That's a very poor English. I would say it is shunya. Shunya comes close to the Indian notion of Purnam. India means same Acharya, Purnam. Purnamadaha, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyade, Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnamavishishhyate. It comes in the Kathopanishad. It is the Mangala Sloka. Fullness. Only that which is shunya can also be full. And this is very close to the Christian idea of kenosis. On the cross, God becomes nothing. Nothing. God becomes nothing. John Muruppath's book, The Crucified God. So on Good Friday, God becomes. So my point is this, Mar Gregorios is able to take this along. So what I am telling is this is what I call Advaya and Advaita ecosophy. You call it iconopia, but I like to use the word ecosophy for that. So I will not simply negate modernity. No, it has given the enlightenment, modernity, etc., the premise of reason, but that is a historical situation, and they emphasize reason to a limit where all the things became secondary. That was the problem. And I like to end this question, enlightenment. India did have the moment of enlightenment. When Narendra Datta, in 20th century, he was the student of the Protestant school in Calcutta. He wants to ask, what is God? Where is God? What is God? Have you seen God? He goes to the father of Tagore, the Rishi, Yogi, Devasia Tagore. He asked him, have you seen God? Young man, I can see the fire of divinity in you. He said, I have no time. Say yes or no. Then he goes to an illiterate but educated Pujari in Kalighat in Calcutta, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He tells him, have you seen God? He asks him, yes, Narendra, I can see God more clearly. Narendra has some doubt. Are you Narendra at all? That was the time Vivekananda was born. Then according to the legend, it's on writings, Ramakrishna takes him to the inner sanctum of the temple. He puts his right foot on his chest. He has the vision of Kali. I call this Indian enlightenment. And when Vivekananda went to Chicago, Father, look at the first address. At that time, there was no feminism at all. He said, my dear sisters and brothers. My dear sisters and brothers. So this is what happens to mystics and sages. I am told that the clapping went for minutes.
Yes.
Religions. So Mar Gregorios, he belongs to that tradition. So therefore, I would not completely reject modernity. Modernity is a kind of stage in the human evolution of consciousness, rationality, and it shows me the journey of the human mind. And I will take what is there in that, to understand the journey of the spirit. Yeah. In fact, some people tell me that Vivekananda's Ramakrishna Mission order, typically the Jesuit order, everything, discipline and all this stuff is order. This he told me Vivekananda brought in towards the end of his life. It is written in his the collected works of Vivekananda available to Ramakrishna. I got a copy of that. He goes to Kashmir, and this is important. I want to write about this to tell my Hindu brothers and sisters. The temple is called Kshir Bhavani, and he's agonized. He said, Mother, if I were there that time when the Mughals came and destroyed all temples, I would have killed them with the sword. Then it seems there was an inner voice from the mother goddess there, Kshir Bhavani. Vivekananda, who protects whom? Do you protect me or do I protect you? So this is a divine choreography. It was the will that whatever we, I am not saying Islamists are all, what about Sufi system? So it's possible they might have destroyed, and this story says that they destroyed some temples, fine. So my question is this, here is a divine choreography to go understand the divine thing behind this. It is recorded, Father, in the collected works of Vivekananda. Last volume is given there. It is there. So who protects whom? So history becomes theologically a divine choreography. And that also brings to another question, secular sacred. This is again the pitfall of enlightenment, modernity. Secular is sacred, sacred is secular. Vivekananda also said this, no? For a hungry man, God comes in the form of bread. And Gandhi quotes that. For a hungry man, God comes in the form of bread. So I agree, but then what is important is this, these traditions are grown in different places, I agree. We need to have, it is there we have to have a dialogue. I believe the Hinduism can learn from the Christian tradition about social service. And Christianity can also learn from Hinduism about interiority. A revolution, no. I would call it involution. you go inward. It is the spirit changing all these things. Spirit. So that is the way when you speak about dialogue, when you speak about enlightenment, rationality, when you speak about this, and I think that is what is important. But I refuse to believe in the binary of things. That will take us nowhere, Father. It will only take us to nihilism. Yes, that's it. Yes.
Sir, in what way can we best understand Neoplatonism and the Indian element in it?
Yeah. So a question people also do, ask in the research and in their philosophical understanding. Now, the best way I understand is by reading the works of Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo, his philosophy is called integral Advaitism. Adi Shankara would pose Jada, matter versus spirit. Sankhya philosophy. In fact, Sri Aurobindo has problem with Shankaracharya. He calls him madman, Mayavadi. That is because I think he doesn't understand what Maya is in Shankaracharya. But in Shankaracharya, matter, Jada is a problem. It's not reality. It is not self. Aurobindo goes this. There is only consciousness. So matter is an evolution of this consciousness. Is it conscious? Yes, but conscious rudimentarily. So grass, stone, tree, even an organism, amoeba, even the COVID virus, is also a camouflaged idea of the divinity. Yeah. Therefore, instead of killing it, what we should say, how can I live with this? Why should I kill all the virus in the world? Tell me. Okay. So Aurobindo would say every created organism thing is an evolution of consciousness, and it reaches supramental. So Neoplatonism, that will, to me, mind, it will come in Sri Aurobindo's work extremely, because he did studies in England. He knew 5-6 classical languages. He taught himself in Sanskrit. Came to Baroda, taught in that I think the King's College there, the University of Baroda. Came to Calcutta and he was in the national movement. He was arrested for sedition. Came to a jail. Came out as a yogi. He went to Pondicherry because he was under French, not under British. Went to Pondicherry. So here so of course I agree in his earlier writings there is a problem of Orientalism. That East is meant for the spirituality, West is meant for material, etc. And that binary is also the creation of modernity, the creation of certain kind of understanding. East is meant for the spirit, the West is meant for the material aspect of reality. I think that you wish know that book by Edward Said, Orientalism, he also discusses this. So, but I think Sri Aurobindo, when he says matter is also an evolutive consciousness, he comes very close to the philosophy of Plotinus and Neoplatonism. Because I think that is I found it very radical, which is not in Shankaracharya. Ramanuja, yes. Ramanuja says even Jada, matter is also the manifestation of the reality. He has, Jada, matter, soul, Atman, Chaitanya, then of course Ishvara. All three are having Swagata Bheda. Therefore you call Vishistadvaita Veda. We call that Vishistadvaita. Shankara says no. It's radical. So Aurobindo, Sri Aurobindo, but I'm not sure, but I'm sure because they have high education abroad. I'm sure he has read all these and look at his famous book Savitri. My God, it is taught in universities for English literature and masters and MPhil program. Wonderful work, Savitri. His writings, one paragraph is one line, and he wrote in English. So therefore, what comes in about colonialism? I don't think English is a colonial language. Colonialism is a kind of mindset. It's in Hindi, no? काले अंग्रेजी भी हो सकते हैं. It's a mindset. Language is language. Okay. So he wrote in English. Even Gandhi also, his book in Swaraj, he put into English. From Gujarati into English, he put it. Right? Okay. So Sri Aurobindo comes very close to that. Now you will ask me, this is a question of hermeneutics. How can there be different interpretation of same reality? Now in Christianity, unfortunately, we have got schism and we have got problem with heresy. Hinduism has no heresy. Because in the Rigveda they say, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahudha Badanti. Reality is one, not mathematical place, it's a one. But the Vipra, the learned, the wise, the Brahmins, they call it differently. So, look, this can only come a person who is intuitive, who is a rishi, who is a mystic. So, look at the way, now what they are saying is that plurality and singularity belong to the very nature of reality. I have yet to find philosophy of this sort in the world. Either they will emphasize unity, identity, or plurality. I think of late one French philosopher wrote a book, The Singular Plural. Vedic Rishi saw that. Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. And therefore, reality is, okay, but it has multiple forms. Look at the biblical tradition. I really relish that, when John's Gospel of St. John, when the woman who is a Samaritan at the well, she meets with Jesus. She asks a very powerful philosophical question. You Jews go to the temple to pray. We go to the mountains. Tell me, what true worship consists of? Tell me. Jesus says that's a fundamental truth. God is truth, spirit. Therefore, those who worship Him should worship in spirit and truth. Father, this every Hindu will accept. Jesus says a revolutionary statement there. Revolutionary. So the rishis saw this. Therefore people say he came to Kashmir, came to India, Banaras for 30 years. He said nobody knows him. He was in Qumran community. When I did my theology in Pune, we also he was in Qumran community and etc. Fine. Some say came to India, fine, no problem. 30 years kahan gaya? Yesu, kisi ko pata nahi. So he was in Essene community, he was in Qumran community. But this saying can come only a person who is God intoxicated. So Gregorios, bishop, he takes us that way. He is a rishi, he's a bridge builder. So, here comes Sat, Vipra, Bahudha, Vadanti.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time that you have given us. Yeah. And we have learned so much from your understandings. Your answers were not just an answer to our single question, but also it has opened many windows to our thought world, especially by understanding the so many dimensions. So it will take more hours or more days. Peripherals. And we'll be like you, we'll also be interacting with so many other minds with greatness and our own religious traditions.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are looking forward to. So this actually will be a project will be a motivation to many.
It's not one particular denomination. No. Mainly for the whole world. So that's it. That's what call it truly orthodox in that sense, So that I think we can make sense of it. Yeah. We can discuss, And this is a lifelong task of tapasya. You can't. So I never go for partying, etc.
To really come close to the ideas of great rishis like Dr. Paulus Mar Gregorios. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Father. Thank you so much, and I am really privileged. And I this is my dakshina to Bishop Mar Gregorios. I mean, I not met him in person, but for Rishi, it's to have the thought world. Thought world, Shastra becomes Shastra, narrow to the whole reality. So he lives, and I thank God, as I said earlier, for giving him to the Orthodox Church, to the Christian, the world, to the India, and this is what India is for. India is for, and I think he also challenges each of us. How can we people who can read the signs of the times? So I wish and pray, all the best for your project, for the document we are making on Mar Gregorios. Yes, his thoughts should be shared, thoughts should be critiqued, thoughts should be meditated, to be reflected, manana, meditation should be done on that, and they'll be surprised. Oh, here was a Christian, a priest, a bishop who thought, that's why I called him Rishi. Not only of the East, but also of the West. And for him, the church is the cosmos. In that sense, he is really orthodox.